Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. I'm the host of the show, Neil Haley. You can go to my website, tooltutor.net, for more information. Twitter, tooltutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, tooltutor, Pinterest, Neil Haley, Google+, and also on Periscope at tooltutor. And it's very, very interesting, the winter season, the fall-winter season. I did the summer tapings, and 8 interesting guests, not 16. Dave's probably happy about that with all the editing that would have to be done when you flip up and different phoners, and we'll have some phone guests later on during this season. Such a really interesting lineup. But I've been co-hosting with Coach Karen Hall. You saw her interview. We really had a good conversation, and she's brought some interesting legends in Pittsburgh sports with us. So you have another great guest, Coach Karen. Introduce our guest.
Sure. Well, it's good to be back on the show, Neil. Thanks for having me back as a guest and host here, co-host. Today, we have a legend from the City League, Phyllis Jones, head girls basketball coach at Westinghouse and also a physical education teacher at Westinghouse. A tremendous person, lot to do with student athletes, the young, the old. So we welcome you to our show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good. We're going to jump right into it. So another Pitt alum today. So can you talk about, your Pitt alum, PE, your college days at Pitt as a student? How did that take you into the area of athletics, specifically coaching, and specifically basketball?
Okay. Was at the University of Pittsburgh, 1978, started there. One of my dreams and aspiration was to be a Pitt basketball player.
Okay.
I wanted to try out and be on the team.
Okay.
I had a chance and an opportunity to try out, but came up against Debbie Day-Lewis back in the day, and it just didn't pan out. So I just said to myself at that time, well, if I can't be a basketball player, why don't I go into coaching? Which led into, I was there for physical education as a teacher, and part of that was learning, how to coach and so forth. So I took it from there, that standpoint of, okay, I'll just be a good coach.
Could you play at smaller schools?
I think I could have played at a smaller school, but I wanted to stay home, and I wanted to be, I was a Pitt fan at that time.
Yeah.
So
when you talk about the players at Pitt, your time, Debbie Lewis, who was coaching? Because you end up going into coaching. So your opportunity to try out, did you watch the coaches' moves? Did you see how they were leading the team that led you, and how did that help you becoming a coach?
Of Pitt women coaches and so forth. Even watching Kirk Bruce as assistant coach and so forth. Judy Sowers.
Okay, right.
And all that. And I did. I patterned myself a lot after a lot of those coaches.
What was it about their traits or quality that you took? What did you take from those coaches?
I used to attend a lot of their practices and so forth, and how they ran their practices, how strict they were with the players and so forth as well, so I just...
So the management of a team.
Yes.
So because teams, as we know, tons of personalities. Yes. And we're talking about, the difference between coaching men, coaching women could be the personalities. So, you've been coaching, I'll say 2-3 decades, a long time, we'll leave it like that.
Yes.
So how did all that help you now that, you were at one time a rookie head coach.
Yes.
Now you're considered a seasoned head coach. Talk about when you started and what's all happened in between.
Well, I'll tell you how I got started. I started coaching in Ozanam.
Oh, wow.
I had some community players that we wanted to get a team together.
Okay.
And so we worked on getting a team together, went over to Ozanam, and I started really enjoying it. Got a chance to start talking to a lot of different girls from different communities and so forth, and building up a team. And we had a pretty successful team over there. So I really liked that. I went from coaching at Ozanam into a Catholic middle school team, and then on to high school. I was over also at Perry as an assistant coach before I became head coach over at Westinghouse.
Interesting. So in that process of getting your degree at the University of Pittsburgh in health and phys ed and certification teaching, did you right off the bat not get a teaching job, or?
Oh, no.
No.
Teaching job was number one.
Teaching, so you got the job first.
I got the job first. I was at my first job was at Conroy Education Center.
Okay.
And I was there, but how I really got into teaching as well was when I was at Carrick High School, George Couple at the time, his daughters attended Carrick. And he told me at that time, what do you want to go into college? What do you want to major in? I said, physical education. He said, see me when you get done with your college education. Okay. And he held to his promise.
That's great.
Yeah.
So George Couples, former athletic director of the Pittsburgh Public Schools, tremendous person also, became a mentor and obviously someone who helped you get your start as a teacher.
Yes, he did.
So now it's your turn.
Yes.
It's your turn to take. So talk about the communities. You mentioned Conroy, you mentioned Perry, now Westinghouse. Yeah. So you're in all these different communities.
Yes.
Give us some community aspect of you as a coach.
Wow.
I know.
As a coach.
Well, just as a person, I mean, George Couples was a role model. You obviously had different other role models. So you're taking different kids, bringing them into OZM from different communities. How are you getting yourself into these communities? Why are you taking yourself into these communities?
Well, one thing is you want to give back to these young ladies. You want them. You want them to continue to believe in themselves and so forth. Right. And they have to understand that, education is very important, very important. So reaching out to these young ladies in these different communities is important. Right.
So teenage pregnancies could be, at risk for, drugs, maybe dysfunctional families. Right. So you bring them out of that, and now you're basically giving them a chance.
Yes.
So at Conroy, were you coaching at Conroy or no? So what were you doing at Conroy?
That was my first year teaching. I was phys ed teacher. Okay. And as a matter of fact, the first day I was at Conroy, because Conroy is a social emotionally disturbed school as well as handicapped. So you're getting. So I'm getting all types of kids over there. And I'll be honest with you, the first week I was there, I was about to quit.
Oh my.
Yeah, but then after being there, I was a sub in there for another teacher who was on maternity leave. Okay. After doing a year there, I literally wanted to stay there. Wow. I was sad that I had to leave, but I did leave. So Conroy gave me a basic foundation that was awesome to be able to teach in the city.
So Conroy, you then moved, you mentioned the Catholic school.
I went on to McNocker.
Another public school?
Yes, another public school.
And then what Catholic school did you have a few moments in?
It was a middle school Catholic school, St. Kenny's Middle School over in Knoxville.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, and you're teaching there?
I wasn't teaching there. They were looking for a coach.
Okay.
That was actually, one of my first paid coaching positions.
Okay.
Is there? And was that was different than especially the high school?
Oh, that was totally different.
So explain that environment where you taught, where you coached.
I was excited about it because these young ladies hadn't been pushed like I pushed them before. And also, at that time, Susie McConnell and her sisters were playing in the Catholic League. And I didn't know how great they were until we had to come up against them. So that was an awesome, experience.
So from McNocker, you then take your coaching skills where? Did you then go to high school?
From McNocker, I was asked to leave McNocker and come over to Westinghouse.
As a teacher.
Now, I was told I would become the head girls basketball coach. Okay, it didn't happen. When I got to Westinghouse, Coach George Webb, legendary football coach there, he told me when I first walked into school, he said, I know they told you were coming for the head coach, but I'm the head coach right now. But he said, I'll give you a couple years, which was 3, and then I'll let you, take over that position.
So here again, you have an opportunity to learn under a seasoned coach who really became your mentor.
Absolutely.
So I mean, you're having some great development along your coaching path.
Yes.
So you're a rookie coach. What did you learn from Coach Webb?
Number 1, discipline.
Okay.
Discipline. The kids, if you don't have those kids, if you don't have their attention, you're going to lose them. Okay. So discipline, the finishing, going to classes, getting the grades and so forth. Very important.
Now, Westinghouse at that time, was it a quiet in the hallway school? Was it, a little bit of both? So what culture are you now in coaching at Westinghouse and teaching at Westinghouse?
Well, you're in a, at that time, right now Westinghouse has 500 and so students.
Right.
At that time when I first came in, there was 1,200 students.
Oh, wow.
I taught 6 classes of 60 students.
Wow.
And it was awesome. I mean,
Wow.
the students did, what you asked them to do, and it was great, So as far as like getting the basketball talent was there, from the community, and that's when all the schools stayed as community schools in the city.
So has the water changed?
Oh, it's changed tremendously.
And we'll get to that for sure. But see, Coach Hall's getting us ahead of the game,
yes.
and I'm like, whoa, because I want to hear more about basketball.
Yes.
We could talk education on a lot of other times, but I want to know specifically enough. Again, balancing that. So you're because just to kind of go back.
Yes.
You were teaching at Westinghouse, coaching at
what?
Westinghouse.
Oh, Westinghouse. Oh, so I thought. Oh, so you were an assistant.
When I was at Perry?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I was teaching at Westinghouse.
So
when I was at Perry, I was at McKnocker.
Oh, you're at McKnocker.
I was at McKnocker, which is right down the street from Perry.
Okay.
Yes.
So you were teaching and coaching at McKnocker.
Well, I was, yes.
And then you get to Westinghouse as an assistant coach.
Yes.
I understand when you're told you're going to
1987.
And I guess you played high school, but did not go on and play college basketball.
Right.
What do you think that the development, especially when you knew being trained as a physical education teacher, to be ready to coach? What did you kind of learn? Coaches are teachers, and they need to understand how to teach the game. Yes. You could be a coach that's a motivator, but if you can't teach X and O's, but yes, also mentor, do all those different things. So how did you prepare yourself, especially after the McKnocker experience, to going over to Westinghouse to learn more about what you had to do, especially when you're going to take on the role of a high school girls basketball coach in the City League?
Well, I went to a lot of coaching clinics, first of all. And then being under the legendary coaches that I was under, I learned a lot from them, prepared myself for what it's going to take to be a head coach, and...
So when you coach and you have to motivate, you're constantly motivating.
Right.
So talk about some of those coaching motivational strategies. Kids come in feeling different daily. How do you motivate? Give us a few strategies that you've learned from all these great mentors.
Well, you got to get the trust of the kids. Okay. Number one. Right. The kids have to know that you care about them, and they'll give their all, for you.
Now, I've known you for quite a while, so she's being quite modest about these motivational tactics here.
And I hate to butt in and say we do have to take a break when we get
back.
We're going to come back into that. And Coach Hall, I know that there's questions you want to ask Phyllis that you might not have gotten a chance to ask, and now you got her on camera to ask her.
Exactly. I'm put on the spot.
See, that's what I love about it, is I get all so much information out of people in specific ways. Yeah. But again, if you were for our viewers and listeners out there, Westinghouse now is a very difficult school to teach in and coach in, and she keeps winning. That's where we want to find out how that happens and be still a successful teacher and be able to have the sanity to continue to go on. Because honestly, I'll tell you flat out, I mean, I've taught in the city, I taught in Brashear, but I've visited other of the city schools. Westinghouse is difficult, so how can you win when you have lots of kids that sometimes don't even show up to school? But we'll get to that story. Hopefully I'll get to one of those questions. So you're watching the Neil Haley Show and listening to the Toll Education Network, syndicated all over the world. My website, tolltutor.net. We'll be back in just a moment. Back to the Total Neil Haley Show. I don't know why it's the Total Neil Haley Show, but the Neil Haley Show on the Toll Education Network. Tolltutor.net for more information. Twitter, Toll Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook. LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, Total Tutor, Pinterest, Neil Haley, and also Google Plus and Periscope. Have you tried Periscope, Coach Hall?
I don't know. What is Periscope?
Periscope's a live video streaming thing that you can go into, like if you're doing a talk or doing certain things, and people can comment, or if you're having a conversation, a motivational speech, people will start commenting in. And if you connect it on Twitter, it's the best thing, so it tweets out, you're going to be on at this time, and then so I do it sometimes. So Periscope's interesting, but I don't like how it doesn't it disappears. It's almost like a Snapchat in a way that after 24 hours it's gone unless you kind of save the video or certain things. It's not available after that. And lots of celebrities go on there, and that's where really the big hotbed is, celebrities with Periscope.
You have just blown up.
Oh,
I mean, we went from the earphones to cameras to Snapchat.
Exactly. And then and another thing for my... I'm pretty much a social media branding coach and market books and do different things for people. I'm not PR. I never will call myself public relations, but I understand the ins and outs of it. But I understand what works to get people out there.
Yeah.
Honestly, people understand. You go on a television show, you're not guaranteed to sell books.
Right.
You're not guaranteed to sell your product or service. It's building a brand so that when you meet people that are interested in that product or service, you might be able to drive them, but it's all about branding when you do those things. So
it is a new day. So
exactly. So we're Coach Karen Hall and then Phyllis Jones, Westinghouse, legendary women's basketball coach, and also are you a Hall of Fame in the City League?
Yes, I am.
City League Hall of Fame. So I have a bunch of Hall of Famers and myself.
And all these pit people and queens.
So we'll go H2P.
H2P
hashtag and just to talk about that.
So
Phyllis, when you're learning the game of basketball, especially that time where women's basketball has really not to the way the level of play has just gone up tremendously, where they really at one point, without the opportunities, that they didn't have the opportunities then. The kids, the players, they couldn't play with the boys, but now it's coming to a point that they can't. Coach Hall was able to, but there are not a lot that were able to do that. What do you think it's the development of the opportunities for girls now?
Yes,
and that they start earlier.
Yes, they do.
They play more with boys. They're willing to do it. Yeah.
Yes, but back in the day, I played myself and Jennifer Bruce. We were the kings of Belsuver, Knoxville, playing with the guys.
Okay.
We would go down to those courts and we would say, "We have next."
No, she said kings. She didn't say queens.
So I think we had it back in the day, and now the girls are even more willing to play with the guys, against the guys.
And you see so many of them playing year-round.
Yes.
Before it was not a year-round period.
Right.
And then how has that changed the X's and O's of how you coach now? Because they have more fundamentals, they understand things some more fundamental, but more ability to, they're eating, sleeping basketball now.
Yes, they are.
And they have a focus and attention, even at Westinghouse at this time.
Yes.
I guess if you're like in the City League, it's based on where you live and how many want to play for you because you're a winner so much, right? Is that true?
Awesome. Yes, that is true. Yeah.
So, I mean, Coach Jones is, she's at a level where she could have a long time ago moved into the college ranks.
Okay.
But I know that her commitment, her desire to see young women develop into young adults, that's where she lives. Right. And that's what keeps her at Westinghouse. She's had tons of young ladies come through. Give us a little bit of those young women, the Tamika Hunters, the Dana Banners. Some of those women that have come through your program, they came in raw.
Right.
And then you smooth them out to become a gem.
Well, it's structured as well. One of the things we did at Westinghouse, we had the girls go through study hall every day.
Okay.
You have to have a 2.0 in the city. So back then, I was blessed with girls that cared about their grades and so forth. So I tell the newer girls now. Back then, they fought on who was going to receive the highest honor roll. And it was awesome. You didn't have to structure them too much as far as classes and so forth, because they wanted to be in class and so forth. But today that's a little different.
It is a little different
in
that process, and through the years of seeing Westinghouse kind of evolve in a way to differences when you went with the not as many City League city schools when you first started teaching at Westinghouse.
Oh, all the city schools were there.
It's just the population
population. you know, when the other schools start receiving the magnet programs and so forth, and kids then had an opportunity to select where they would like to go, you know, to school.
That changed
That changed
everything.
Yes.
So we went from how many city schools then to how many now?
We went from 12.
12 to...
Now we're down to 6.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get into it too hard, but we know this whole Westinghouse Wilkinsburg thing, you know, and I don't know, in a good way, it may bring more kids regarding the athletic program.
Exactly.
And we know athletics sometimes drive reputations of institutions and schools to become more positive.
Yes.
So you take the high road of that whole situation, and you never know. You may have to cut girls.
That would be nice.
Because there's a shortage now, and girls still play, but numbers have become an issue.
How do you win then with a smaller amount of playing player? And you got other city schools that have a lot more girls playing.
More girls, tons of girls.
How do you?
It's, you know, you have to get in the head of the girls. You have to make them believe.
Right.
Make them believe that they can compete and so forth. And they have to do the work, hard work. You know, a lot of our kids don't want to put forth that effort today. And in order to win, you have to do.
And how do you set it day one before even the season starts? With off-season training and all these different programs, give us that schedule for you as a coach, what you do year-round to prepare the win.
We work with the girls year-round, summer leagues and so forth, in the gym, you know, opportunities as well. We like to get them to camps and so forth. So we do a lot of fundraising and so forth so that we can help the parents get these kids to camps and so forth. You know, taking them to other college games so that they can see the opportunities that they can have out there.
So when you say college games, you're giving them exposure to other universities too.
Yes.
A higher education of learning, not just basketball. Basketball's the carrot, but you're exposing them.
How many players that you coached went on to play college basketball?
I can't even mention the numbers. I'm sorry.
Give us an
what about top D1s?
Yeah. Top D1s, you had Shanice Wilson Pepper. You had Shalonda Winton.
Where'd they go? Give us the school.
Pepper she started at the University of Pittsburgh and ended up at Miami, University of Miami. Shalonda Winton went to Cleveland State.
Okay.
Tamika Hunter, she was at the University of Pittsburgh. Tianda Jennings at Duquesne University. A lot of Division II players as well, and Division III players too.
How many of those are pros now?
Pros, I have 2. Yes, Pepper is playing in Sweden right now, and Shalonda's in Germany.
So, but that's not long ago. So you basically started getting better players going to get to higher levels later.
Yes.
Is that a surprise to you? I mean, like the years that you've coached for so many years, you'd think that you'd have more college players earlier now that are high level. It's a later evolving process. Why would you say that?
Developmental, you know, the leagues just starting up with the WNBA and so forth. Young ladies, you know, they come along now and I want to play professional ball.
So there's an incentive not just to go to college. There's more of an incentive.
Yes.
They want to go to the pros.
Yes. And but you also have to make sure that you're realistic with the girls as well. What it takes to get to the pros. Yes. You know.
So in your first 10 years coaching, did you have any D1 players that came through?
In my first tenure, I had Debbie Braxer back then. At that time, she went to Slippery Rock. Okay. I'm trying to think of some of the others.
So you have to give us that whole list and send it to us. It's amazing.
It's a lot of
at that time, probably because there was not a major focus on
States,
professionals, you're saying let's just get you
to the college.
Get you into college where you might not have had that opportunity.
That's always our number one goal with our program is for the young ladies to go to college, and that's what we tell them as well as their parents. You know, because their parents were complaining, you have my kid so long, but I have your kid and you know what your kid is doing. Your kid is in our program, they're working with us, they're not on the street, they're not doing anything bad.
Of your players, what's your graduation rate? Are you saying?
I would say 100%.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And what's the graduation rate of kids that go to Westinghouse freshman year and don't graduate? A lot. You don't want to put the percent. It's it's very high. And it's high in the city in all general.
In all the city.
Any of the inner city schools. Teaching, last question, teaching-wise. Now, you taught all that time, not just coached. What has been the experience of going through that process as a teacher? Do you enjoy that as well?
I enjoy
teaching.
Yes, I do. There has been a change in the students, you know, from when I started in '87 at Westinghouse till now. And a lot of the kids laugh. They're like, you taught my grandmother. But it's been great. You know, that's what keeps me going. You know, being able to help these students succeed and go on with life.
That's what I saw at St. Agnes, and the ability to say they want to motivate these kids that don't get the opportunity.
Right.
As a teacher, it's what the walls. It doesn't matter what's going outside that environment.
Yeah,
If you can go in there and transform them, don't make the excuses that where they come from, anything. If you go in there as a teacher and believe they're going to learn, they will. And that's the way we fix it, but we got to find lots of educators motivated to do it. But it takes a lot of work to keep it going. And we talk about it, and there's a lot of morale problems going on in education right now in the last 16 years, and I think the last 7 and more because of just blaming the teacher. Which is not fair.
No.
There are bad apples, but we got to get rid of them. As Coach Hall and I talked about that before, we need to just get rid of those and not worry about the others, because if they're good mentors and they're helping people out, that's all that matters.
That's what matters.
And looking at growth of that student, when you had them at the beginning of the year to the end of the year and they showed growth, those teachers should stay. The ones that can't show that growth, not based on a standardized test, a principal can figure this out.
Exactly.
Your colleagues can figure this out, and then things change. Okay, there's no place to find information on you. You're on Twitter or anything? Did your players tell you better get on Twitter or anything?
All of them want me on Facebook, Twitter, all the social media. I'm not on right now.
You tell your girls to stay off them? Stay off social media? Because I heard that it really hurts on recruiting.
Oh, yes, I do. I tell them about that.
Because unless you're very good and professional on Twitter in high school.
But also even admissions for those who aren't going on to sports. They're looking at it all.
But if you can stay professional, then that's fine.
That's right.
But that's still taking a shot, because there's a bad game that happens or a certain thing, tweet out, never disappears. Or Facebook's out, and that Snapchat and all that other dangerous stuff is terrible. So there's no place to find information you except Google you, right?
That's right.
Google you. And you're an Ozanam alumni too.
Yes.
And did you play any Connie Hawkins or not?
Yes, I did.
Did you play Connie Hawkins too?
Yes.
With the boys?
With the guys.
Oh my! See, you're dispelling rumors for me today.
But this is the one right here.
I know
she's the legend on that.
Today is this one right here.
Let's see, all these legends at St. Agnes. What's going on here? I talked about Coach Hall, myself, and then you look at specifically Brandon Knight's kid went there. Carl Krauser's kid went there. Just specific people that you just saw, and we had the McClatch. That extra mile at that time was fantastic. I have nothing but good things to say about extra mile, but I wish it would stay with 4 schools. 2 is just, it's too hard. They need to have more. There needs to be 6, 8 extra mile schools for families to have that opportunity, especially they want the faith-based situation, which you can't have in the other. And she did just a tremendous job as a teacher.
She does.
All right, well, guys, take care. Thanks for watching the Neil Haley Show. Next week, another exciting guest. Take care, everyone.